Welcome to another edition of It's a Long Beach Thing. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and like us on It's a Long Beach Thing on Facebook and on Instagram. We have a great show for you today. We have a former D1 athlete, now pro of the golf, Tyler Schafer. Tyler, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I thank you for the time. I know it's been hard to book you. I know you're really busy with the golf season and coming forth and stuff like that. But I'm real good friends with your mom, so I was really happy to be able to book you onto the podcast.
Yeah, I'm really happy to be here.
Cool, cool. So let's dive in, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So what's your first association with Long Beach? Even though there's San Francisco in your background.
I know. Sorry, this room's a mess. I had to pick a background.
No problem.
First association with Long Beach. Hmm. Well, I guess like how deep are we getting into this question? Because I'm born and raised in Long Beach, so
Yeah, let's get deep. Let's go born and raised, man.
I've lived here my whole life. So I've gone to school here. I went to Tincher Elementary. Well, it was K through 8. And then after Tincher, I went to Wilson High School where I played golf for 4 years. And then after that, I went to Long Beach State where I played golf for 4 years. And I'm currently still living in Long Beach. So Long Beach is it's home. That's what it is. It's home.
Right on. So, I mentioned that you're an athlete in golf. Where did that love of golf start?
Honestly, I honestly don't even know. My dad played golf. His dad played golf, but didn't really get us into golf. I tried other sports growing up, and I tried t-ball, I tried swimming, hated swimming, couldn't do it competitively. Um, and then one day I just kind of like from what my mom tells me, I picked up a club and I just started swinging it, and then they put me in lessons, and then one thing led to another. I asked them to put me in tournaments, and suddenly I'm playing tournaments, and I got addicted to the feeling of playing tournaments and competing, and I was like, all right, well, this is for me. Like I like this, so
How
I kind
old,
of just stuck with it.
how old were you when you started playing tournaments?
I think I was around 10 or 11. Yeah, probably 10 or 11, and then just kind of played tournaments ever since.
When you started doing these tournaments, 10 and 11, were you pretty good, or was it like was there a
Well, no,
learning
I
curve?
was awful. Yeah, I was awful. I mean, I wasn't great. There were definitely kids who were a lot better than me, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't like and I just kind of been that way my whole golf career. I never was like the early bloomer, like the person, because in junior golf, there's like different age brackets until you get to like a certain level of golf, and then pretty much you could be any age to play it. But like starting out, playing SCPGA events, like you play from like ages 9 to 11, and then it goes like 13 to 15, and then it goes like 16 to 18 or 12 to 14, and then 15 to 18 or something like that. And I was never the type of kid to be like, as soon as I, got old enough to play on the next level, I was never the kid that was like really good, where everyone was like, whoa. And then I was always a late bloomer in golf, and I was never that like crazy standout golfer, but I got the job done.
You definitely did. That's an understatement. But going back to that time period where you call yourself a late bloomer, what kept you going when you weren't obviously the best golfer out there?
It's just the love, just
Hmm.
the love for the game. I mean, I just enjoyed it, and I was lucky enough to have a great support system with my mom and just her like working at Little Rec. So I would go to Little Rec on the weekends with her in the morning, and I'd actually play a lot of golf with the men's club when I was younger. And I was like a quote unquote honorary member of the men's club there at Little Rec, which was really cool. And but like I just had I made a a lot of friends growing up playing golf, and it made it really easy. And like I live right next to Hartwell, so I spent, gosh, almost every night at Hartwell just hitting golf balls. And it never really felt like a chore or a job. It
Mm.
just felt like something fun. It was like an outlet where I could just go hang out with my friends and beat some golf balls, but also get better at hitting golf balls while doing it.
I love what you're talking about joy, and I think that's the biggest part of it. I work with a lot of high school and college athletes on the mind, and that's what I preach to them all the time is that joy. The original reason why you played the game, because as you know, at the levels that you've gotten, pressure gets up and up, and sometimes that joy and that fun goes out the window because of the fact that you're just looking to win every tournament. So I
Oh
love that you
yeah.
brought up joy.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like you said, as you get further into this game and you play at a higher level, the pressure gets higher and higher. And, once you start playing pro events and you start playing for money, you realize that every golf shot, is a couple $100 or, at some point it could be a couple $1,000 or a couple $100,000, depending on how far you get into it. But yeah, I think like that's the biggest part is finding the joy in it. And I think like Scotty Scheffler is probably a perfect example of that. I mean, golf doesn't, he talks about it all the time. Golf doesn't determine his happiness. It's just something that he enjoys doing. And at the end of the day, if he wins or loses, like he still loves the game. He still wants to get up and work for it. But like he has other things in his life that make him happy. And I think that's really important because, I mean, gosh, it's really shown that he's an incredible golfer. And I think that mindset of like taking the pressure away from the game and just going out there and doing something that you love, you're probably going to go out there and do pretty good.
I 100% agree with that. And I want to dive deeper into that. But I first want to talk about when did you start to feel that flow of, hey, you know what? I'm pretty good at this game.
Um, it was probably going into high school. Going into high school, I got significantly better. And then my freshman year, I actually didn't even really play varsity in high school, shockingly. And uh, at that point, I was like, wow, like that kind of sucked. Like that hurt. So I don't know what it was. I think it was maybe that summer after my freshman year, things kind of clicked, and I was like, just like how I mean, most athletes just kind of, it's like a turning point in their career for them where
Hmm.
something gets better and it's just like it clicks, and you're just like, whoa.
Hmm.
I probably went from like a six handicap to a scratch golfer in a summer, and from that point, I was like, okay, well, like this is nice, like I like this, and then results started to come and show during summer tournaments and then during high school season. And then eventually I was like, whoa, okay. Like, I had people telling me, like my high school coach, it's like, you can like start talking to colleges and like get scholarships for this. I'm like, oh, okay. Like that's something new. Like I didn't realize that. So it's like, all right, well, yeah, let's do this. Like, let's take it serious. I mean, I was already serious about the game, but that kind of was more of an eye-opening opportunity, knowing that like, okay, I can go to college and like get it paid for and do something that I enjoy. So I was like, all right, well, let's just buckle down and keep going.
That's amazing. First off, I want to say you were a six handicap and you weren't on the varsity team of Wilson High School. They must have had a heck of a team where a six handicap can't even make the varsity team, huh?
Oh yeah, I mean, I was playing JV. I played a couple of varsity matches, but I didn't even play our more league event at the end of the year. So yeah, I mean, Wilson High School has just always produced really good golfers, and I had the choice growing up, like going into high school. I think it's either Lakewood or Milliken is my home school, and you know, I thought about it, and people were like, "Dude, you want to go like where golf is really, really good, and you want to challenge yourself." I'm like, "You know what? You're right. Like I do." So then I was like, "All right, well, I'm gonna try to get into Wilson." And challenge myself, and that was eye-opening because I was like, I don't want to be the best golfer when I get to the school. Like I want to work for it,
Hmm.
and that was something that honestly probably really helped me in the long run because I was like, I want to be surrounded by people who are better than me, and I want to challenge myself to get better. So that was it's probably a really good thing that I didn't play varsity my freshman year.
Yeah, I love that. You had to feel the struggle, and there's something special about feeling that struggle.
Yeah, 100%. I think, I mean, God, it's just with anything in life. If you don't struggle, then I don't know, it's probably not for you. Like, I feel like you should struggle at everything at some point, or, you know, it's just like if it was that easy, everyone would do it.
Hmm.
That's just with everything. And I think like the struggle is what brings people back. It's like, yeah, I always say this to everyone, like golf is a very humbling game. And I take my friends golfing and I watch them miss golf balls or they're like, how do you do this? I'm like, well, it's humbling. The ball doesn't move until you hit it.
Yeah.
And but it's something about that just gets them hooked because they just like, dude, I want to go golfing. I want to go golfing. And then suddenly they're going golfing on their own. And then next thing you know, they're addicted to buying golf clubs and golf clothes. And now golf is just blown up. Like everyone that I grew up and going to middle school with or high school with, like, or even people in college that I knew, like everyone's starting to pick up the game of golf because it's just, I don't know. I feel like it's the sport for retired athletes. As funny as that sounds, I know
Oh,
a
I
lot
don't
of
even think it's
athletes.
for retired athletes anymore. You look at all these current players that are playing right now, they love the game.
Oh yeah, they do. I mean, gosh, I follow LeBron James on Instagram. That guy's been playing golf like no other. He probably plays more golf than he does basketball right now.
Mm.
But I mean, it's just like even other sports in college. Some of the guys that were on the volleyball team or whatever it was, they now like I see them at the golf course all the time. I'm like, this is cool. Like I like this.
Yeah. So back to your personal story a little bit. Was it Coach Evans? Was he your coach at the time at Wilson?
Yes. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So he got in your ear and said, "Hey, Tyler, this could be something that you could take this to the next level on." What grade were you at? Was that a sophomore or junior?
Sophomore year.
Sophomore year. So there was quite, well, I guess you mentioned it. You went from a six to a scratch. That's, if anybody knows golf, that is remarkable to drop that many strokes in a span of a year. That's remarkable work by your part.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it was. It just, something clicked and it golf is one of those games where I mean, it's just like every sport, you put in the work now. It might not show in 2 weeks, but it might show in 3 months. It's not, I think that's where some people, I think that's the mindset of like athletes. It's like you just have it or you don't. Some people want to see immediate results with things and just for any athlete, it's like you're never very rarely are you going to see immediate results and all that hard work is going to show at some point. You just don't know when that point is.
Yeah. I use the analogy a lot, like going to the gym, right? If you feel like you're going to go to the gym and you're going to leave there buff after one session, you got another thing coming. But you go consistently, like you're talking about, and put in the extra work, you will see a difference in your body. And the same thing with golf or anything that you're working hard for.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. I mean, that is a perfect analogy. I, I myself, I struggle to get myself into the gym sometimes, and I'm just like, God, I don't want to go. But, it is one of those things. It's like, you want to look better, you got to go. You might
Yeah.
not see it right away, but you'll see it eventually.
So when you started to think about colleges, I mean, obviously, Long Beach State, and that's where you went. But but what other schools were looking at you, and what was your thought process there?
Well, honestly, for a while, I was looking at like a couple of D2 schools because I had no clue if I was good enough to play D1. And, I went up and did like a my own visit to Chico State because they had a really good D2 golf team. And I I mean, looking back at it, I didn't do the whole like college scouting process very well. Um, it was all new to me. I had no clue. I had no one teaching me this or anything like that. And like, God, if a kid came up to me and was like, "Hey, how do I do this?" I could show him everything now. But at the time, I had no clue, and I honestly didn't really talk to very many schools. I was talking to LMU at one point, and when Long Beach, when I spoke to Long Beach and they offered, and it was just like it's kind of a no-brainer. I didn't even want to look at other options. Like, this is sweet. I could stay at home. I get my school paid for. Like, this feels great. And I was never pitched on the idea of leaving home. I have it pretty good here, and I can't complain about that. I don't have a horrible relationship with my mom. I love my mom, so it's it was a no-brainer. I was like, yeah, this is right for me.
Talking about your mom, it's funny is I had the opportunity to watch a little bit at the Long Beach Open, and she's told me this in the past. Like when she supports you, she goes to all the tournaments, but don't ask her what the score is. She
Oh,
just
she
knows by
has
your
no
body
clue.
language.
No clue. I mean, she can sit there and walk for 500 yards and be like, "Is this par three?" I'm like, "You just walked 500 yards. There's no way. There's no way it's par three." Like, "Oh, I wasn't paying attention." I was like, "Yeah, I know." But you know what? She's out there and she's my biggest supporter, and I love her for that. So,
Yeah, yep, and she's still working, and she still is the starter at Little Rec.
oh yeah, I don't think she'll ever give that up.
Mm,
She loves it.
that's
It's
great.
easy. The people are so nice, and it's just yeah, she enjoys it.
That's awesome. So back to you. So you get accepted to Long Beach State. Um, Talk about the difference between playing high school golf as opposed to playing D1 golf. Was there a big jump? I know Wilson obviously is higher echelon of high schools, but you're playing D1 college golf. What was the altitude difference between the two?
Well, luckily I grew up playing a lot of outside tournaments like AJGAs or Tour Cups, which were very competitive. But I mean, yeah, Wilson was. I mean, if you think about high school golf at the time, it was just in a different league. I mean, it was just, we were competing for state championships. Like it was a different league, and most of those guys on every other team that were at the state championships went on to play D1 golf. So it's like you know who you're playing against, but it is a different animal in the sense that like you are seriously juggling academics, traveling. Like my freshman year was a giant wake up call. I mean, I was struggling in the classroom because I was traveling so much for golf, and I was like, God, I don't know how people do this. And I ended up getting a mentor through our academic program there, which helped me a lot. But yeah, I mean, the skill level, I mean, especially now, like junior golfers are just incredibly good. And I mean, you look at it like the kid who won the U.S. Amateur this year, he's not even in college yet. Like talking
Yeah,
about the best AMs in the world,
yeah,
and he's not even in college yet. Like in junior golf, and I mean, Miles Russell made it to like what the quarterfinals or semifinals, and he's like 16 years old.
yep.
I mean, it's a different level now, and
Hmm.
I think like back then, yes, like I was a little scared. I was like, whoa, this is a wake up call. But I mean, I enjoyed it in the sense that like it is competitive and it's something that I wanted to do. I love the traveling. I love being around like a team and just like enjoying those moments. Because at the end of the day, like the golf is fun, but like the memories and the relationships you build with the guys on the team is just those are some things that you keep forever. It's like my version of joining a frat.
Well, talk about that. You said the freshman year you were struggling with that time management because of the travel as an athlete. So what things did you put into place to improve that?
Well, one, having a mentor, just someone who like I met with a mentor, I think it was twice a week, and basically we just, at the beginning of the semester, we go through every syllabus and we write down like what needs to be done or like what are the important events, and you have a calendar and everything. And it was just, it was like creating a system for yourself, which I didn't really have. I mean, high school, it's like like your high school teachers, they want you to succeed. Where like college professors, sure they want you to succeed, but they don't care. They're still getting paid. It's like
Yeah.
if you don't show up, they're not sitting there calling you or calling your parents like, hey, where's so and so? Where in high school it's like, hey, so and so hasn't showed up like for 4 days. Where you can not show up for college for 4 days and no one's probably gonna even notice that you're going.
Mm.
So I think that was the biggest wake up call for me, was just like you gotta. I mean, it's just yeah, it's just being an adult. As
Yeah.
much as I hate, as much as you hate like thinking about it like that, but you got to grow up fast because as soon as you leave high school, it's like you're really on your own. Especially if you are not like at home and you went away for college, it's like you got to learn to do all those things on your own. And I saw it. Like I had a couple teammates who came from other places in California, and one of them was really, really smart. He did really good, but he was like, he's just very different academically. For like, I was never a huge person when it came to academics. I was just like golf, 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 golf. And then, school came along. I was like, oh God, school.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think like just figuring out a system and what worked for me, and like that was the biggest thing that was a huge change that helped me.
I love, like you mentioned, mentor because that's what I do a lot with especially the high school athletes. I developed a system where I have them write out their short-term goals in the sport, their long-term goals in their sport, their academic goals, and their goals outside the sport. That way they have their North Star. They
Yeah,
know where they're going to go, and a lot of my athletes are in golf, and I think a lot of it has to do with what we talked before we went live is the fact that in golf compared to some other sports, um, if you have a bad day, let's say you play basketball, football, baseball, there's still a chance that you could win the game even though you had a bad game. And golf, that's not going to happen. I mean, yeah,
no,
maybe in the team portion of it that could happen, but overall, if you have a bad day at golf, you're probably not going to win. So there's a different mentality. You're almost on an island at times. So talk about that mindset that you kind of have to have with golf. I think you talked about it a little bit about being humble. You're being humbled by golf, but taking those lessons and keep moving forward because I know that not every golf game you were stellar. I mean, I'm sure there was several times, and still probably to this day, there's days where you go out there and you have a high number, and you're like, "What the heck happened? Yesterday I was hitting them smooth, and today not."
yeah. I mean, that's I mean, it's definitely like you said, it's the one sport. Yeah, you might be able to win the team thing, but I mean, you got five guys who travel, you got four scores that count. It's like you have a bad day. It's very possible that one of your teammates has a bad day, and like it is, and that's the one thing that I tried, like when I was coaching this last semester, is like trying to engrave into some of the guys' heads. It's like, look, don't think about the whole team stuff. The team stuff will come if you just try to play good individually. Like you should be going out there trying to win that tournament every single week. And if every single one of you guys go out there and try to win that tournament, you're probably going to win the tournament as a team. And one of you might win individually. It's like it is an individual sport. I think some people forget that when you go into college because it's like, oh, you're playing for a team. But like at the end of the day, you're playing for yourself. Because once you get past college, it is just yourself. There's no team. Sure, you're gonna have a team around you, like, mental coach or your coach and all that. But like when you show up to a tournament, it's just you that's playing. There's no one else that can pick up the slack for you. And I think that's like one of the biggest things. And just having to learn like in college with just you have a bad day, like how do you handle that? And like you said, you're out on an island by yourself. You know, sometimes you might have your coach walking with you, but not every time you're gonna have that. So like just learning to deal with those emotions because I mean golf is frustrating. It just it is. It's so frustrating. And it could be like the simplest thing. You know, you get off the golf course and you take one swing video and you realize that like, oh, maybe the ball position was a little too far back today. And you go out the next day and you just absolutely stripe it. But you know, you shoot seven over the first round and you shoot five under the second round, you're still over par. The leader's probably eight under, nine under. So you're like, well, I shot myself in the foot. But you know, I think yeah, it's just learning to deal with those emotions and trying to handle them because it's golf is frustrating and I think that like if you let the emotions get to you, it can go downhill very fast.
I also want to talk about the pressures of golf. I mean, like I've followed I've since I've known your mom, I've followed you online and seeing the stuff that you're doing, and you're a lot of times you're on the top of that leaderboard, especially here at the Long Beach Open. You were up there as well. Talk about handling those pressures of like playing high pressure golf like that's like the final round, like you know that you're in contention.
Yeah,
You know that there's a lot more pressure on it, and maybe like talk about it on the back nine when you know, hey, if I shoot a good number here, I could win this tournament or be pretty darn close, or like you said, I every shot at this point is going to make or break me money.
yeah. I mean, funny enough, I haven't competed a lot in the last, couple of years or so. Just I had a broke my foot playing basketball like an idiot and just I shouldn't have ever been playing basketball and that took some time to get over and then but that was my second event this year and it felt good because, I saw a lot of good in that event and then coming down the stretch, I I didn't really hit like that many bad golf shots. I just, I let my brain shut off for 1 second. I had a bad three putt and then I got frustrated by that and then it affected the next hole and then it was just kind of, and sometimes you catch bad breaks in golf and they get frustrating and you feel like you can never catch a good break and sometimes that's frustrating and the frustration gets to you and you start making mental mistakes because you're just not thinking and you're thinking about every little bad break that you've got and I think that like not competing for a while, that's like kind of what happened to me that final round and then looking back at it like it's like dang, I at the end of the day like I haven't competed a lot and I gave myself a chance to place pretty high in that tournament. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna give myself a pat on the back. But I was a little frustrated because I was like, you know what? Now looking at it, I had the chance to be, within the top three, top four. And yeah, I kind of pissed away a couple $1,000s in the last like six holes, but that's golf, it's all learning experiences. And, I never try to think about, oh, this putt is worth a couple $100 if I miss it. It's a, if I don't make birdie here, then this and that. Like I just try to take one shot at a time and at the end of the day, if the result doesn't come out the way I want it to, then it's okay. Like I'll move on. I'm happy. It's not the end of the world to me. It just means that I need to get better somewhere.
I also talk a lot about, and you probably can talk about it even and more than me, is I always talk to the athletes about getting in the flow. I mean, you as athletes are practicing all the time, so you guys are building up that muscle memory. Let's
Mhm.
stay into golf. You build up that muscle memory. So when you're in a tournament, it's a lot to me. It's a lot about trusting those muscle memories, trusting all that stuff you did in practice, and shutting off the brain and letting the subconscious take over because it's already built into the subconscious of what you're doing and just letting that flow take over. And when you're in that zone, that flow, um, great things can happen as opposed to if you're thinking every little shot. Do you agree with that, or you might have a
Yeah, no, I
nuance to
completely
that?
agree. I think I mean it just varies from person to person. I think some people are very process oriented and they have to be like, they have to sit there and think through every little thing where, maybe I need to be a little more like that sometimes. And sometimes I'm just like, I'm gonna get up and hit it because like I feel comfortable. Like I know that like this is what I want to do and I'm confident that I can do it. And I don't try to think too much about it. I don't try to think like, oh, what's the wind doing here? Like, oh, that the pin is this many paces onto the green. It's like, no, I see the shot, I'm comfortable with the number. I'm just gonna step up and hit it and just not let my mind think too far into it. Um, but yeah, you talk about flow state. I think like you just you get to a certain point, and especially in a golf round where you're just flowing and like everything feels so easy. You don't think. Like you just go through the motions and everything just comes naturally. And like I think, you know, like that goes back to practice, like coming down the stretch in a pressure situation. You hope that like your body knows what to do because your mind is probably everywhere. You're feeling adrenaline, you're feeling, a little nervous, you're kind of shaking and you don't want to make a mistake, but like all the years of repetition and practice is just like it's going to take over. And if you practice good habits, like hopefully those good habits show during coming down the stretch. But certain people tend to get nervous, and it shows. Like if you, but the good part is if you put yourself in that situation a lot, you know what your tendencies are, and you kind of avoid those tendencies, or you're aware of it. And you're like, okay, well, I tend to hit a little further when I'm under pressure because I feel adrenaline, or I tend to hit it, a little left, so I'm going to aim a little more right, or give myself a little more leeway. So it's just things like that. I think like those are really the only times where I sit there and think about things. But for the most part, I just like to play golf and just let let my body do what it's supposed to do. I've been doing it for years. I try not to sit there and think about it. And sure, if I'm having a bad day and I'm not swinging the club very well and got the ball going way right one day, like I might try something just to see if I can fix it. But for the most part, I don't really like to tinker on the golf course. I kind of just play with what I have, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I mean, at the end of the day, the goal is just to get the ball in the hole. It doesn't matter how it looks. Sometimes it looks sloppy, sometimes it looks amazing.
And how important, especially in golf, is having a routine, especially in a tournament? Is
Really important. Yeah, I think it's very important. It just allows you to like fall back onto something. Um, I think the biggest part is, especially if things are going bad, you just fall back on a routine, and it's just, okay, let's just kind of get back into a routine here and just kind of figure something out. And I think once you start getting out of a routine, it's like that's when things kind of start to go a little more south. Um, but I mean, you look at almost every golfer on the PGA Tour, like they do the same exact thing every single shot. They have a process and they do it every single time. And some are, you know, some are very ridiculous. Like Brian Harman sits there and waggles his club 20 times before he hits it, or Keegan Bradley has to like take certain amount of steps into the ball, or like undo his glove. It's just little weird things like that, but it's things that have worked for them. And if they start going away from that, that's like show signs of like stress where it shouldn't be stressful. You just stick to your routine and let the game happen.
I love that. And then talk to me about failure. What does failure mean, especially in the golf world? What does failure mean to you?
Well, I mean, unless you're Scotty Scheffler, you're gonna have a lot more failure than you are success. I mean, it's yeah, if you're not okay with failing, then golf is not the game for you because you're gonna have a lot of failure. And even gosh, you're gonna have tournaments where you felt like you played amazing and you fell short, or you went out there and you played the best you could to your ability that day, and someone went out there and played better than you. It's one of those things, and I think like if you sit there and you think about all the little things and think about, wow, like I played really good, maybe I'm not good enough. It's like, no, you're good enough. Someone just played better that day. It's just all it is. You can only control what you can control. You can't control what anyone else is doing, and I think that's really important. Um, but yeah, I think failure is like it's part of the game. You just kind of have to accept it. And some people deal with failure better than others. And some people use failure as fuel for fire and get better. And some people use failure as, they think they're not good enough and it kind of just tears them down little by little.
We even mentioned Scotty Scheffler, but even Scotty Scheffler experiences failure more than he succeeds, and he's the best right now. But even he, if you look if you're just going off percentages, he fails more than he succeeds. So even he has a high majority of failure as well. So he's
Yeah,
not uh, absent from failure as well.
yeah. I mean, it's just, there's remember seeing it in God, it was high school or maybe even middle school. There's a chart of like what success looks like, and people think success looks like a straight arrow going up.
Yes.
It's not. Like it's literally an arrow just going everywhere, up and
Yep.
down, side to side. Like it's never success doesn't look like that. And
Yeah.
you have to understand that it's with everything. It's business, life. Like you're gonna have moments where you're down, and how do you handle those moments when you're down?
I always talk about failure. You can not like it, you know. I mean, everybody, that's unpleasant. Nobody likes failure, but you can't fear it because once you start fearing it, you won't do the things that you need to do to get better. Would you agree with that?
100%. 100%. Yeah. I mean, if you fear failing, then you're just setting yourself up for failure. You're not going to succeed. You're going to sit there and you're going to try and be a perfectionist when in reality, golf is the game that like you're never going to be perfect.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm sure, God, if you sat there and you had an interview with Scotty Schafer and asked him how many times or how many wins this year out of like what, 6 wins he's had,
Mhm.
how many times has he had his A game? I'd probably say he'd probably say once. Like most golfers don't win with their A game where everything is working and flowing. And when they do, they usually win by a lot. So it's, and like it's just like golf is weird like that. There's been days where I've gone out there and shot a really good number or feel like I'm playing my C game. And then some days I go out there and I hit it better than I ever have and I just can't make a putt. And I end up shooting like one under. You're like, well, that was horrible. The score is not horrible, but it felt horrible because you sat there and you gave yourself an opportunity to make birdie on every hole, and you're just like, I can't do anything.
So what do you do to stay on that flow state when, like you mentioned, you have a three putt, or you hit the ball out of bounds, or you do something that that 9 out of 10 times you never do, but you unfortunately did it that one time. What do you do to kind of keep you back on point, especially in a tournament?
I mean, I'm guilty of it. I'll sit there and I'll be frustrated, but I try not to carry that frustration to the next hole or even the next shot. That once that shot's over, I'm gonna sit there and be frustrated until I walk up to the next, walk up to the ball and I have to hit the next shot. But there will be times where I'll sit there and I'll just be frustrated about it for a couple holes, and I try not to let that happen. But some days it just happens, and certain things will irritate me more than others. Sometimes you hit a golf ball OB, and that is what it is. It's a bad swing. Those are going to happen. But when you sit there and you three putt from 10 feet, you're just like kicking yourself in the butt. Like, dude, it's a 10-foot putt. How did you do that? So I guess it varies from situation to situation, but for the most part, I try not to let that happen, and I kind of just focus on something else. I've I've heard some people like to sing a song while they're playing golf. I like to chew gum. I kind of just sit there and chew gum and kind of focus on that instead of focusing on anything else. Um, and then, I mean, a lot of the times, especially because, I in college, you play a lot of cool golf courses and you're traveling everywhere. I just sit there and appreciate the moment. I mean, I could be sitting in class listening to some boring lecture, but instead I'm playing golf. So, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing is just appreciating where you are in the moment and knowing that like that mistake is so small compared to everything else that what life is.
Well, I love what you said there. There's a few things I want to highlight what you said. One is you talked about perspective, meaning you're playing at these beautiful courses. I mean, life can't be that bad, right? Yeah, I might have a bad round, but look where I'm playing at. Look at the beauty that I'm playing at. So you also had gratitude. You're grateful for the things that you had for playing at these courses, for the clubs, for everything that you are grateful for. And then the last thing is staying present, and that's what the chewing gum is. You're focusing on the chewing of the gum. That means you're trying to stay present. You're staying in the moment. So the highlighting those three things I think are huge, especially at the level of golf that you play it at, as having that gratitude, being present, and realizing the big picture, having perspective of the big picture, and you nailed all three of them. What you said there.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a game. Like there's so many other bigger things in life,
Yeah,
and I think if you make something your whole life and it consumes you, you know, it might work for some people, but it doesn't work for me. I can't, as much as I love golf, I can't let it consume me. I will never enjoy the game again.
yeah, yeah. So what's next for Tyler Schafer?
It's a great question. Um, I don't know. We're just kind of figuring it out. I want to play some events coming up, and I don't know what events that might be. I know that there's Asian Tour qualifying coming up and some other events, but kind of just figuring out the whole financial side of it because pro golf is very expensive. It's gosh, golf is an expensive sport.
It really is. Um, but to wave that magic wand, if I could wave a magic wand and anything could be possible, where would you be playing? What would you be doing?
I would be playing everything.
So
I
you'd
would
be in
go
the
play
PGA
everything.
Tour?
Well, I'd be working towards it, but yeah, I'd play everything that can get me to that point. I think if money was never a question, oh yeah, I probably would never be home. I'd go travel every week and go play whatever I can.
Hmm, awesome. So the end goal for you is to be on the PGA Tour?
Yeah, I mean the PGA Tour would be nice, but I also wouldn't mind being on, the European Tour or the Asian Tour. At the end of the day, I don't really care what tour it is. Like I love the game, and if I can make money doing it, I don't. It doesn't really matter to me if it's the PGA Tour, or
Hmm,
the European Tour, or even Asian Tour.
I love that. As long as you can pay the bills, you want to do it, huh?
Yeah, I mean it's something that I enjoy, and if like people say, you always want to do something you enjoy.
Hmm.
You don't want it to feel like it's work. And I know that I wouldn't enjoy sitting at a desk, so I got to figure this out somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, do what you love. That's extremely important. So, what advice would you give high school athletes, college athletes who want to reach a certain level? Well, what advice would you give them?
Enjoy it, enjoy the process, embrace the process. I mean, it's something that I learned from my college coach is you got to sit there and then what are you doing it for? You don't want to do it for anyone else. You want to do it for yourself. So I think if you sit there and you're not enjoying it, then find a way to enjoy it. Go, whether that's take some time off or go play with some friends or, make it somewhat enjoyable. But there's a reason why you started playing the game in the first place, and it's because you enjoyed it. So go back to that and find it.
Hmm. Yes, that's where it started in our conversation is having that joy and
Yeah.
ending our conversation with the joy. Is there anything else you want to leave our audience with? Any projects you're working on? Anything that you want our Long Beach audience to know about you or know what you're doing?
You see me at the golf course, say hi.
Very good. Well, I'll definitely do that, and I'm sure a lot of other people would as well. Tyler, this it's been a pleasure. But before I let you go, I always like to end with a fun little question. Where do you like to eat around town in Long Beach?
Well, I mean, fast food, I love In-N-Out. That's probably my go-to. But restaurant wise, I love eating at Riley's. I like Riley's. One second. I like Domenico's. Can't go wrong with Domenico's.
Well, they're right next to each other. I guess
I
it's an
know.
easy
I
it's an
know.
easy go, right? Geographically, we're right next to each other.
Yeah, if you wanted dinner at Domenico's and you wanted a drink at Riley's and go watch a game, you could easily do that.
Right on. Tyler, it's been such a pleasure getting to know you, and I can understand why you have reached the heights that you reached because of your great perspective and the way your outlook in life is just phenomenal. You were raised right, and keep doing what you're doing, man.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Paul.
No problem. It's been a Long Beach thing.